How's it going, everybody? So we're about a little less than 20 minutes from the first round of data points coming in pre-market. This is going to be an hour before the market opens here on Friday the 7th. Watch this. Is going to be pre-market volatility. The video should be out when it actually hits. And yeah, the next thing is the Fed monetary policy report, which comes out half an hour after the market opens. So again, another big deal, and it's going to give some outlook for kind of general macro direction on Fed policy. Looking at the long short ratios, we've seen some aggressive shorts come in just in the last 2 4 hour periods. We were at 66% long. That's almost like anytime we get above 65% on the longs, it's usually where we looked for some local reversal. Everyone's pretty happy to press the green button, and that's not a good thing. We want people to press the red button, right? If we want upside. So still aggressively 1.7 per one to what is that 1.74 to 1 long to short. So we really want to see a continuation. We need to see some aggressive shorting coming in as we go higher. On the funding rate side, relatively neutral, almost slightly bullish. BitMEX, OKX, a lot of outliers basically saying there's a good chance we could have a continuation in the move to the upside, but there's some things holding us down. On the liquidity delta, specifically, we've got quite a bit of shorts stepping in on both spot and perpetuals. So the expectation here is very simple. If you're going to fail here locally, you want to see a local failure that fails you back under like 97.5, that weekly open that we just locally regained, to go back and test the lows and potentially go lower. We are technically still in a local downtrend, potentially to hold some levels, but we'll go from there. On the liquidity side, there's some stuff really above 99K when it gets attractive. So getting above that high from what we did yesterday, that would be the key to start breaking some kind of like general downtrend where we can start building some higher lows, rounding off some bottoms, that type of thing. But until we really get above that, you've got quite a bit of downside pressure still, and the target would effectively still be 93.5 on the macro, retest the major lows. So looking at the chart, how can we all put this together? Big thing is we are expecting a pretty big volatility event coming in shortly with that economic data from the US and the Fed policy report half an hour after the market opens today. So locally, we've had a pretty sneaky little close above the weekly open. We'll see how that plays out. I'd like to see some lower time frame regains. We're seeing some rejection from effectively Wednesday's daily open, which is a pretty decent level. All of this stuff acting as pressure to potentially come back down to 96.7, the daily open at 96.5. So there's a lot of stuff we can retest on lower time frames. On the hourly, yeah, we had, like I said, we good 1 hour close, good 4 hour close. There's some stuff to test below us, and I would expect that anything that gains the local level above us, like 98K, you could see with pretty good certainty come back up towards 99. But in like the general area, we're still making rather large swings back to the downside. I was very hopeful yesterday when we started doing that upside drive. We swing failed it really bad, and by 2 hours before the market open or so, we had a really bad hourly close, which just said, okay, yeah, we're rejecting the highs entirely and we're going lower. So the expectation here is that if we have a hold of the weekly open, we want to see some pushes back up into this zone 98.6, 99K. Where we probably will reject. If we gain this, we are changing some significant trend structure. That's going to be the number one thing. And then to the downside, especially here locally, so we've got some upside pressure. We're gaining some levels here locally. If we lose the weekly open, we have to come back to 97.2, test that little swing structure on the hourly. If you lose that, you have to come back down to December. All of these areas are places that we could see some holds. If we come back down and very bullishly back test 97.2, regain the weekly, you're going to see the test back at like 98.6, 99K. But we're tentatively looking for a major switch, a major change that only comes back to the upside with a gain of 99. And realistically, and on the higher time frame, just to kind of round off the macro here, the daily needs to hold aggressively. 96.5, the December open, that daily low, very, very key to hold today. If we lose that, I would say there's pretty good chance we go back to 94.5 the yearly and probably lower because we haven't gained anything back. So just keep that in mind. It's still very tentative. It looks quite weak and indecisive on the higher time frames, other than saying we've broken down from the highs we've already made. So those are the key levels. Trade it safe, and then end of week, very simply, to keep like the weekly targets in check, we cannot close below 94.5, and especially not the yearly at 93.5. This area here cannot be lost. Any close underneath this on the weekly, and we run the high risk of seeing a weekly failure, which would likely lead us into a larger period of retracement, probably back into the 80s, potentially the 70s. To the upside, we want to see regains back above, 99 and 100K, closing back above stuff, effectively testing everything below us. We've done it already once now. We want to see holds. And as long as we can do those regains, eventually any close over 102.4 on the weekly will then become the next step, next leg up. So that's it. Take it easy. Enjoy your weekends. And yeah, those are the levels. Trade safe.